My name's Andy Reid, and this is the Alchemicast right here on Alchemical Records, where we bring in musicians from the DMV and talk to them about what they've been doing in and out of the studio, as well as on the streets of their native area. With me on today's show, I have Ben DeHan, a guy from Odenton, Maryland, outside of Baltimore, who has a pop fusion that's similar to the 1975 Angels and Airwaves and the band Camino. We're going to talk a little bit about his music that he makes with his fiance, Lauren White, a cellist in her own right, as well as a songwriter. We're going to talk about his recent release, Waiting for You, that came out in July, and just a little bit more about his use of different types of instrumentation and the production process when he's recording and writing his music. So with me on the show, I have Ben. Ben, you are live on the Alchemicast. How's it going, Ben? Thanks for doing this.
Hey, Andy, how's it going? Thanks for having
Hey, how you doing over there? You can hear and see me okay?
me. Yeah, all good here. I can't complain. Yeah.
Right on. Well, what have you been up to? Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I just got back from actually Orlando last week. I got engaged, so
Oh,
that's
wow.
been good. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. But that was kind of our first break in a very long time. We've been going pretty hard, um, doing a show pretty much every weekend, and we have that coming up in September and October again. We'll be doing some regional touring. So
Wow. What are some of your favorite spots to play around the country? Maybe we talked a little bit about Philly or New York. Have you stayed mostly on the Eastern Seaboard?
so this will be my first time in probably 10 years. Um, really getting back out there again. From like 18 to 22, I was touring pretty much full time nationally. So back then, I mean, I love Philly. I love New York. I um, really like Chicago, Denver, Bay Area was cool, Austin. Um, I feel like every place has something to, kind of offer. So that's one of the fun parts of touring, even though it's like super grueling. It's interesting to see the landscapes as you drive and I don't know, different cities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different on the road. And when you're on tour playing in different venues, you notice what makes that town special or what makes that town pop.
Yeah, for sure.
So playing on the West Coast in LA versus playing in New York, there's a pace and a hustle,
Mhm.
and the vibe is just different. As someone from outside of Baltimore, Maryland, what is the vibe of Baltimore? Can you kind of put it in a few words for our listeners?
Baltimore, it's just very it's a small big city. Like it's a neighborhood city and it's very tight knit. I like to think like everybody has become, very kind of supportive of each other. So like the, help another up kind of mentality is or pay it forward type of mentality is kind of what we live by in Baltimore. Um, and I think that's great because we want to see more of that in music, less of the feast or famine mentality and more of
Right.
the pay it forward. Like, let's make this a community where, we help each other out.
Yeah, and by choosing collaboration over competition, we can help each other, you know, build and grow, and our careers can expand as musicians as well as being native to the DMV area.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
I mentioned to our audience out there about your recent release, Waiting for You. Maybe you can tell us just a little bit about the songwriting process and what that song is like.
Sure. So the process for that is interesting. I had listened to um, the lead singer from Semisonic. I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head right now. But he was on the Song Exploders podcast, and basically like he writes like a lot of songs for Billboard artists now. Like he's got hundreds of singles out there. But it was interesting his story about Closing Time, which was like obviously their first big hit. And he described a songwriting process in which he wrote a song a day for 30 days, and it was a
Mm,
challenge to himself. And so I kind of took that process on my own and um, implemented it in COVID. And over the period of about 90 days, I wrote a song a day. So, like, it didn't have to be necessarily good. I just had to finish it.
mm,
And so, like, I had those kind of constraints on myself, and it made it easier somehow. And like, really did. I followed through. And I wrote a song a day, and I actually continued past that 3 month point. Um, and I probably came to the studio back in October of 2020 with like 150 song ideas. I mean, that I had narrowed down to like 10, and then we did five. Um,
mm.
so as far as the process, like it was for me just about like showing up, not being over perfectionist about it, not overthinking it, just finishing it. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was extremely helpful. So to speak about like waiting for you, funny enough, was it's probably like the most down tone or darker type of tracks on the EP. Um, and it was actually before, it was pre-COVID. I wrote it in February of 2020. So it was like right before COVID. And I was just feeling um I don't know, very like downtrodden.
Yeah.
And kind of I don't know, just disconnected somehow. And yeah, I remember I wrote that in about 30 minutes.
Wow.
And yeah. Yeah, it just kind of came out. And I circled back to it because I thought it was definitely a front runner for the EP. Circled back to it about a year, no, probably 9 months later, and in that time period, um, Lauren and I were in a holding pattern between living at our old apartment and the one we're at now. So we were living at my parents' house for about a month, and yeah, we know we had time booked in the Bay Area with San Pira for the EP, and so we were ironing out details, like ironing. I It's a hard word to say. Ironing. Why am I struggling with
I,
that?
irony. Yeah, that's a hard one. Irony.
Ironing, yeah, ironing out the details of these songs that we're gonna do, and kind of stuck in that room, like the one that I grew up with. And that's when I wrote the bridge, and the first line is, "I know we gotta get out of here." So yeah, but yeah, I mean, the song is basically just about feeling disconnected from somebody and kind of like feeling like it's going down a path that you don't want it to, but you know, not being able to control that outcome. Um, and no matter what, you got to just pick up the pieces and keep moving forward. Yeah.
When things are outside of your control, do you often turn to music for an answer?
Yeah. So I would say like that's the best thing for me. And lately, I've been so caught up in just so busy because so much has been coming from these songs that um it's probably I haven't been writing recently. I have plenty of material that I'm sitting on, and ideas that in the next 2 to 3 weeks I'll be putting together because I'm going back in the studio. But It's the greatest way to feed my soul. Like I always feel better after I write a song. I don't know what it is. It's just like that's it for me. And I also do. I meditate. I go to the gym. I try to eat right. um, I try to get my actually my diet has been pretty solid, but I mean probably the one I struggle with the most just because I'm somewhat of a workaholic is the sleeping portion
Yeah.
of it.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, I really gotta get a hold on that because apparently it's got a pretty big impact on stress and all those things. So
Yeah, no, it's important to get those Z's. And as you know, musician, when you're working and playing these 5 hour sets or 3 hour sets that can go late into the night, not everyone realizes how difficult that is to maintain, and it can be hard to avoid burnout for sure. Um, what are some ways that you use music to boost up other people around you? It is so easy to pick up an instrument as a musician and start playing mindlessly, but for other people that necessarily aren't musicians, they might see that and it automatically lifts them up. What are some ways that you use music to lift up other people?
sure. So I think there's many ways to answer this question. Um, One way for me, and I've gotten a lot of messages from people on, Instagram or TikTok, saying, that they were in a dark place or something, and in this song, like really connected with them, and it helped them. I don't know, just feel okay in that moment, something along those lines. I get those types of messages a lot, and it means a lot because when I write, I'm not writing for like some type of outcome or to sound like some type of thing or band or I'm really doing it in a cathartic way, and then just trying to be honest and genuine with it, and then the analyzing of like what does this mean kind of happens in retrospect. So hopefully, I mean that's the feedback I've gotten is that people connect to it, and it kind of brings them to a good place. Um, that's one aspect. Another aspect is, community as a musician. I mean, what you guys are doing, it's great. Like, the paying it forward, the podcast. But what I was going to say is, like our bassist Matt, he's a phenomenal writer. So I talk to a lot of bands in the area or bands of producers that I've worked with um, that are starting out and want to learn how to grow. Um, and it's good to have a side hustle. And
Yeah.
so our basic Matt, like yeah, one of the first things I usually say is you got to get your story down, and he's really good at helping bands do that. So I'll point them in his direction, or um, you know Lauren does a lot of our videos. Like I'll point people in her direction, or Ian Jared Bell does a lot of our music videos. So just trying to tie other people together, um, and it always comes back to you. Every call that I do with somebody, like I don't charge for that. I do enjoy if I have some type of knowledge to give, just to hop on the phone and do that and I don't know. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, totally. Something that I mentioned in your introduction is that you were influenced by the 1975 and the band Camino. What are some of your influences and how do you think they affected your music?
Sure. So yeah, those are probably more modern manifestations of what I'm into. I absolutely love both of those bands, and I think it's really cool that the 1975 is one of the only bands that's been able to transcend like genres and do
Mm,
them not only like um effectively and like tastefully, but also like with their own creative stamp. So I'm fascinated by their creativity and like congruence as far as like sound goes. Um, for like original influences, I mean, I remember for my 11th birthday, I got an electric guitar and I got Blink 182's Enema of the State. And then, yeah, I mean, like it didn't take long till I was pretty much off to the races with that, you know? So yeah, I mean, I think my bias is somewhere between Machine Gun Kelly and Angels. I think mostly I get compared to, somewhere between Blink and Angels. With that modern 1975's band Camino type of um, indie electronica and beats, and then I think where the unique point that I hear from a lot of people that we do, and that I feel when we write, because we play every night. My fiance Lauren and I, is the cello. Just having that full time in every song, I think really kind of distinguishes us. Yeah,
Yeah, no, and a cello is such a warm instrument too. When you have something like a violin or these warm strings, the texture that it creates can be something very full or orchestral. What are some things that you do in the studio? Maybe you can guide us through some of your songwriting process.
sure. So the studio is fun, because most of the work is probably not even recorded. Like, I mean, when we went in to record these songs with Sam, I would say at least 33 to 40% of it was just deconstructing and reconstructing everything. And we really wanted to break down everything to its core components because we don't want anything to be in there um, as just a, oh yeah, that's cool, but we'll bury it somewhere in the background. We
Yeah.
wanted it, yeah, like you've done recordings like that before, probably.
Yep. You got to get down to the stems and make sure you have some noise gates and compressors on. And
Oh,
yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Let's add 100 guitars on this on this track.
Yeah.
So we wanted everything to really really just stand out and be pronounced. Uh, so there's that, right? So finding the key, finding the structure is kind of there, but like having that opinionated producer, which Sam is, and which I wanted. Um, rearranging some things, and then lyrics. He would say, "No, we need to change this." Like the beginning of the Faded ones didn't originally start with "Because I've been losing my mind since I saw your face." Um, but I love writing lyrics or writing in general in the studio because there is like that level of like urgency
Yeah.
that I just somehow I seem to thrive in that for some reason. Yeah.
And with the pressure environment of playing on stage, it can be a little different than being in the studio just because you have to perform.
Mhm.
Now performing requires this energy and you have to cast it into the crowd. What was one of your most recent or memorable experiences playing live? Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So what you just said totally resonates with me. Um, the two most recent were the Record Theater and Ramsed on Stage. So, like, in my opinion, they were two very different shows. I thought Ramsed on Stage sounded much better than the record, and that's because we had some technical difficulties, like as far as like sound in my actual guitars. I play in a lot of different open tunings, so um, we were having problems with the tunings. So, but the thing that ties back into your statement is like you're giving a lot of energy, and it's so much like a give and take between you and the crowd. That's kind of like what we're all about. It's like if you come with that energy, and again, you come like genuine and like open, and like you're there to have a good time, and you're there to, entertain, and bounce that energy back and forth between you and the crowd. People, I don't know, I like I didn't think record was really good at all, but like people want to root for you, I guess, because like they're like they put the blinders on because they see that like raw passion. It's kind of like the original like punk bands. Like they didn't sound the best in the world, right? But like they came with that energy, like that community, like that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Um,
the music is the message, and they support the story.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
that's probably the perfect way to say it. And then so like I took the pitfalls that I felt were there at Wrecker, and I sat with them, and I made a plan of what we were going to change and how we were going to change it, and um, so I really think that we captured both of those elements at the Ramshead on stage show, um, and we were also able to being comfortable to a certain level. Um, Also allows you to like we did things in the moment, like on stage. Like,
Yeah.
yes, there were mess ups, but like there are ways to like if you just go with it or lean into it, then
Make it
like
look cool. That's all you got to do. Just play it off. You did that on purpose.
yeah, man. Yeah. I feel like that's the coolest thing is like, when I see like a band live and they're doing this improv thing, and I'm like, "Oh wow, like I'm getting to see something special here," and um yeah, that happened a couple times at Ramshead, and even in the last song, and we ended up drawing it out, and I think it drew us and the crowd closer together. And it was really fun. Yeah, really fun.
Well, as far as putting you on the spot goes, I'm going to take this opportunity to put you on the spot, and we're going to play a little game called This or That. I'm going to throw some things at you, and all you have to do is just tell me this or that, and then why you made that choice. Does that make sense?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, we're going to start off with something easy. Old Bay or sour cream and onion?
Old Bed,
That's
because I'm
yeah,
from Baltimore. I can't
yeah.
go back on
I
Old Bay.
I feel like it's so easy for people from the DMV, but especially Marylanders, just to be like, "What? You got Old Bay in your kitchen?" Like, of course, that's just like a constant. It's a staple at this point.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah, I get that one. Okay. The next on the list is Aqua or ABBA.
That's actually a really good one. ABBA, because yeah, I mean they came first, but also yeah, just ABBA for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not exactly as much of a fan of Barbie Girl as I am of other hits by ABBA, as opposed to Aqua. So I'm probably going to lean to ABBA
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the next one is Fender or Gibson.
Whew. Now you're in my brain. I'm wow, because like I've actually been having this I was for the longest time a Gibson guy. I guess like I would have to lean Fender now because I play my I would lean Fender because I mean the tally tells all, and I have my Blues Driver Deluxe. There's no hiding behind either piece of those equipment. So, and plus it's cool because like I think the tally really reveals the personality of whoever's playing it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a certain tone to it. And Gibson, they make great guitars as well as Fender. So it's really just about finding the tone and that feeling, the warmth that makes the most sense to you. I'm a drummer first and foremost, so for me, I feel like playing a Fender just felt right, and then playing a Gibson, I was like, okay, I can tell a difference, but I need to play more. I just want to touch more guitars,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. That's an
yeah. I guess
interesting
the
one.
Les Paul, well, actually, the Les Paul is being worked on right now, but yeah, you're gonna get Gibsons are excellent guitars. I mean, it's just you're gonna get more mid range out of a Gibson, whereas like with the treble, but with the Fender, you're gonna get more like cut through, like punch, and yeah, I mean like it's gonna show every little detail of kind of what you're doing, which is why I think a telly sounds different depending on any guitarist that plays it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is something to consider definitely when you're choosing guitars at Guitar Center. I'm gonna throw another one at you: Shrek 2 or Toy Story 2?
I'll go with Toy Story. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like my name is Andy, and I can resonate with the character in Toy
Yeah.
Story. The storyline for Shrek, like everyone loves onions, so I also resonate with that.
Oh, I love Shrek. Yeah, I mean it's a great movie. I just yeah, I grew up with Andy, so gotta lean Toy Story.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, and then the last one is KFC or McDonald's.
McDonald's because they're breakfast.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Every once in a while, I'll get some KFC. I like that chicken. The biscuits are good. But like, yeah, I mean, I definitely would if I had to choose one or the other, it would be McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I lean more that way just for the breakfast, especially. Well, thank you for playing this or that. I hope you enjoyed that little segment. I wanted to use that as a segue to talk about your relationship to the DMV. Now, you're from Odenton, Maryland, right?
Yep.
And for you, playing outside of Baltimore at gigs at venues like the Auto Bar or Ram's Head on stage, what does it mean to you to be a musician from the DMV?
I'm proud to be from Maryland. There's so much history here as far as artists. Um, DC with, Fugazi and
Yeah,
Black Flag and I mean later down the line get Charlotte like in Waldorf and I mean they actually came up here also to Annapolis and Jimmie's Chicken Shack and um, you know all these great bands here in Annapolis, Bumpin' Uglies
yeah,
up to Lake Towson where you have, All Time Low, um, my old band American Diary, we all started out together. There's so much talent in Maryland, and it's so just diverse between the three areas, and there's even out in like Frederick, like there's a lot of like talent out there and all over, and I'm proud to be from here. Um, and I do think that we are growing, ever growing, in like um, supportive community in different parts in different ways and yeah, I'd love to see more of that continue to grow. um that's what it kind of means to me, and I guess I could say another thing like um I was 13 the first time I played at do you remember Nation?
Nation. Where was that?
DC. um it was kind of almost by like the zoo. It's where it's before the wharf was a thing.
Nation.
Uh, it's kind of like it used to be like the feeder club into 9:30, I believe. But yeah, I mean, I played there. I remember I played a place called Woods in Annapolis, and then up in Rikers. So that kind of ties in, the starting journey to where I'm at now. Um, all of which had kind of their own vibes at the time, and the nation's not still there, but like you feel the DC energy. It's different than like the Annapolis energy or the Baltimore energy, and they're all cool. So it's
Yeah.
definitely cool in that way as well.
Well, I love being a musician from the DMV as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you throw out there. Your sound is great, and I can really appreciate all the work that you put in with your fiance. Congratulations on the reach and engagement. And Ben, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time and talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Is
Appreciate.
there anything else you'd like to add? Is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know at home?
Um, yeah, sure. I mean, we got new music coming up here directly. We'll have a new music video out next week. And a new single, which I had. This will be the first time I'm announcing it. Next Friday. So watch out for that. And we're playing Auto Bar on September 25th. You can follow me on all my socials. It's at I am Ben DeHan. And other than that, we look forward to seeing y'all out. And yeah.
All right, guys, you heard it here, right here on the Alchemicast. My name is Andy Reed, and you guys have had a great time talking with me. Ben, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the months to come.
Thank you.
Yeah, so until next time, have a good one.
Every morning trying to recreate the past. I wanna spread my wings and disbelieve it's gone. A lover in my ear whispers don't embrace the fear, breathing meaning back to life as days